Hey there, Aaron Stiefel here, or LaStief, as all you Sports Stand Radio fans know. Welcome to the Oddsmaker. We're going to be talking about betting, gambling, wagering, investing, and praying to the sports gods on monthly episodes coming your way. I'm going to be bringing my best bets. I'm going to be bringing strategy, bets to avoid, and a sports fan's best friend, season-long future bets. On today's episode, we'll be talking about UFC 250 coming to you this weekend. We'll be bringing on a special fan guest to talk about NFL futures. And lastly, going with your gut in the Bundesliga Soccer League. Let's talk about UFC 250 coming up this weekend. A lot of exciting fights, but not a lot of favorable bets. So let's look at the main event. Amanda the Lioness Nunes, the champ, facing the challenger Felicia Phenom Spencer. Now, Amanda Nunes is a heavy favorite, no surprise there. Two weight class champ, ripped through every big name you can think of. And she's up against this up-and-comer, the Phenom, that honestly has only had 9 fights. And surprising to see her in a title match already, but I think she deserves it. But we'll get there. I'm skipping ahead. DK Nation lists that Amanda Nunes is a negative 560 favorite, while Felicia Spencer is a positive 425 underdog. For every $560 you bet on Amanda Nunes, you get back $100. Not a great return. For every $100 you bet on Felicia Spencer, you make an extra $450 or $425. The problem is Spencer's got to win for you to collect on that money. And so that's why 81% of the tickets are on Amanda Nunes. People betting are all over Amanda Nunes. But strangely, the money, the handle, is 70%. Now, why is that important? Well, what that tells us is that the sports books are actually having a huge exposure on Amanda Nunes. Let me explain. Now, obviously, you're thinking, well, 70%, yeah, they have a lot of exposure. But no, let me explain the math. Now, if you're right now listening on a podcast, I recommend switching over to our YouTube and viewing this. We're going to put up some numbers to help you follow. Let's look at a $1,000 example of bets. If we split that up 84% to 16%, that's really what the sports books want to see. So that's $840 on Amanda Nunes, $160 on Felicia Spencer. Well, if Amanda Nunes wins, they pay out $150 to the public or to the bettors. $160 minus $150 leaves us $10 profit of every $1,000. If they have $1 million in bets, that is $10,000 in the sportsbook's pockets. Nice day at the office. The Phenom wins. Felicia Spencer, the Canadian, brings it out. Whew, they're only paying out $680, and they took an $840. That's $160 per $1,000. Yeah, you can do that math real quick. $160,000, right? That means they're making anywhere from $10,000 to $160,000. Win-win. Unfortunately, they're not living in that world. They're living in the 70-30 world, where it's $700 on Amanda Nunes for every $1,000 and $300 on Spencer. So when Amanda Nunes wins, they're paying out only $125, and they're making $175. 300 minus 125, 175. That's $175,000. That's more than either of the wins in the other one, right? So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is if the Phenom does pull off that upset, they're paying out $1,275 per $1,000. Carry the 1. Yeah, the math doesn't work. Right? You can't pay out $1,275 per $1,000, and worse than that, you only got $700. That means they're losing $575 per $1,000. I don't need a calculator for that one. That is over $500,000 lost to the books. $575,000. That's per $1 million bets. Not a lot of other sports going on, so there's going to be a lot of betting on the main event here, and people love Nunes. And that's, I think, the point. If people love Nunes, why haven't the sportsbooks switched the odds or done something to take that exposure away? Well, I think they're banking on the public. The public is your casual sports fan, right? They're going to show up and they're going to say, hey, who's the favorite? Oh, I recognize Amanda Nunes. They're going to bet on that. They're probably going to bring that 70% closer to 80%. But on top of that, the books are okay with that exposure. The big thing is the sharps. Now, where do they come in? If there's 81% and 70%, that means that most of the money is on the underdog. And that means that the sharps, the professional bettors, the people who are in the know, well, they're taking Felicia Spencer. They're taking the underdog. Whoa.
Hey, sorry.
Producer Matt, what are you doing here?
Producer Matt here, quietly and dimly producing the show when I had to jump in because I'm a little confused by this. Got to ask you a little question here, and it's not more about math. It's more about feel. What is it about Nunes? I know the math dictates that we should bet the other way, but is anything in her actual fighting style and her past fights? Is there some? Is she lacking? I know you said it's the Phenom. What are we not seeing here? Just as casual fans who are watching the fight, What are we not seeing why Spencer could ultimately win, other than just the math version of it?
I hear, and I think that UFC fans listening to this are on your side, right? They're thinking Amanda Nunes, the woman who knocked out Holly Holm with her own finishing move.
Like, am I crazy to bet against Nunes? Because I feel like I am, but
it's funny, and I feel that way too a little bit, because I'm like, she literally took Holly Holm, the woman who beat Ronda Rousey, and she said, "I'm not just gonna beat you, I'm gonna knock you out with your own finishing move." She kicked her to the head. It was art. Amanda Nunes is a beast. She knocked out Chris Cyborg in 51 seconds, right? And Chris Cyborg beat Felicia Spencer in a 3-round fight. But the key here is Felicia Spencer didn't go down. And I think there's really a few reasons here why Miss Spencer is where we should be picking, eh? Sorry, I couldn't help with the Canadian thing in there.
Oh, you hoser.
But here's the keys. One, we've seen in the last, since all these fights have come back, the underdog keeps winning these main events. Now, they were much smaller underdogs. But Felicia Spencer has that chin. She can take those punches. That means we're going to go past Amanda Nunes' comfort zone. She gasses. Now, she's an extreme athlete. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to insult her, but we've seen her. She comes out heavy, and in a normal fight, 3 5-minute rounds, she's getting to the end, no problem. But when there's a 4th and 5th, those 2 championship 5-minute rounds added on, she starts to slow down. And she starts to get hit. We just saw in her last city, she got hit a few times. We all thought Nunes was about to go down. We all had money on Nunes. Let me be clear here. But this time, Felicia Spencer's a different feel to her. So I think she has a puncher's chance if she can land that punch. And more likely than not, she's going to take her down. That's where Felicia Spencer is an exquisite wrestler. And when Nunes starts to gas in those later rounds, she's going to take her, push her up against the cage in the clinch, trip her, and choke her out. That's where the submission is going to come in. And so, hey, am I saying that it's probable that Felicia Spencer is going to win? No. But is it possible? Definitely. And I think if we're looking at this, let me just come back to the math for a sec, right? Amanda Nunes has to win 6 out of 7 hypothetical fights for us to make money on her, for us to be profitable. Felicia Spencer needs to win 1 out of 6. I'm just saying, in a fight where I think this is being overlooked, I think that this is an up-and-comer. This is like the Conor McGregor versus Aldo. This is the sort of spot where people just don't expect it. Just last week, Burns beat up Woodley. No one saw that coming, or maybe they did. But the fact is that this is a spot where I think taking that 1 in 6 versus that 6 out of 7 is a much better spot. And just one thing to note, total side note, I love that the books are able to give us 7 hypothetical fights for Nunes and only 6 for Felicia Spencer, right? That difference of a fight, that's the vigorous. That's how they give us these favorite fights, because otherwise how would they possibly put it out there? They just said even money. Well, obviously I'm putting money on Nunes. I would be an idiot to take Spencer. And that's what you're saying, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but I am invigorated by that explanation. I think that was awesome. Thanks. I'm betting Spencer.
And so am I. I got $182 to win 1,001 on Spencer.
Ooh. Okay, I was going to put about $12, but, we see where we're coming from here.
Oh, we'll see how it goes, right? It might be Blink 182 if going to Blink when Amanda Nunes knocks her out. But on the other side...
Well, I guess this is growing up, huh?
But on the other side, maybe people are feeling a little more conservative. They can hedge that, right? If you put 182 to win 1,000, you can put a few bucks on Amanda Nunes to win by knockout, to win by decision. Those are going to be some juicy odds there. And right
yeah, that hedge sounds pretty good to me, though. Like, maybe just throw a little bit the other way in case it goes sideways.
And on the other side, this isn't you or me, Matt. But for those guys who are partying it up and they get to that main event, they're like, who's Amanda Nunes? Felicia Spencer? I feel Felicia Spencer, man. Phenom by submission. They're going to get insane odds on that. And I'm not recommending that if you're looking for profit, but if you're looking for a good time, I think that's the way to go.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for letting me interrupt. I was sorry to do it, but I was just, my mind was blown when you said not Nunes. So now I understand.
Well, speaking of good times.
And for the record, I'm going Spencer. For the record, I'm betting. I'm going to my legal bookie. I'm betting on Spencer.
No refunds from me, by the way. Just a disclaimer. This is a.
Thanks, Steve.
Speaking of good times, let's look at that SDR production of Sherlock Holmes and his theory.
For too long, I've sat idly by as some of our biggest and most important sports mysteries of our lifetime have come and gone without the true fanfare they deserve. So on this show, we'll be fanning those flames and getting into some of the biggest sports mysteries out there. Rest easy, everyone. Sherlock Holmes is on the case. Our first investigation in the Sherlock home regards the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl from 2013, famous for having a blackout. My intense research has brought me 4 primary theories. 4 theories. Let's line them up. Into the Sherlock home, where we're joined by our Watsons of the week.
Trying to distract the people in the stadium near the switch, correct?
No. In the stadium, I would think that the
on to NFL futures. Let's welcome our special fan guest, Morty Yankovic. Hey, Morty, thanks for joining.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. Is there anything that the fans need to know other than the fact that you are a diehard 49ers fan?
The fans definitely should know that I'm a diehard 49ers fan. I'm still not over the Super Bowl loss, but I'm so excited for this season. Fans or no fans, we need some football.
Amen. Well, hey, let's move on into our actual NFL talk. And first up, I'm going to talk about a bet that I call the ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
All right? It's a bet that you need to get away from, but you just keep coming back to it. And for me, that's the AFC East, right? As a Jets fan, I can't be objective. I mean, it's like when you look at the 49ers, right? You're probably a little less objective than you should be.
The Niners were in the Super Bowl last year, Stiefel. What have the Jets done in the last 20 years?
Make my stomach turn. But anyways, I love them. And that's the problem. And so, but look at the AFC East. Again, I shouldn't have done this, but with Brady leaving and a lot of their defensive players getting poached off the Pats, they're just like an injured gazelle, or can we call it a past their prime Giselle per se? So what's your thoughts on the AFC East? We're looking at, let me just check it out here, plus 130 for the Bills to win, plus 140 for the Pats to win, and then both the Dolphins and Jets are plus 700, 7-1.
Yeah, so I think Jets are probably the best value bet. I think Darnold's going to be very good. The receivers, I don't trust, especially with Nunua gone, Anderson gone. They did draft a talented kid, but who knows how he's going to be his first year.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Mims.
I'm still going back with the Pats. They still got Belichick. They're still in one of the worst divisions in the history of professional sport.
What is Stidham? You're a Brian Hoyer guy?
Belichick won with Castle. He won with Jimmy G. He won with Brissett. They got a nasty secondary. And he's going to find a way to shift people around. He's still got these nasty scat backs. He's got Edelman, who's shifty. He's got the rookie from last year, Harry. I still think the Pats are going. I don't trust Josh Allen in a big spot. Way too inconsistent. I don't think Darnold's there yet, and we know the fish got nothing going for them. So Pats are my favorite. I think Jets are a decent value bet, but my money's on the Pats.
So I'm going to go very different. I love Josh Allen, but I agree. I think that they have overperformed and he is inconsistent. My Jets, I do not. I think they're going to go backwards. And here's the problem, right? The Finns last year, the Dolphins, how many games did they win?
You tell me.
5 games, right? So there's actually an over-under on them for 6, and I grabbed that because it was definitely going to be better than last year. And so I got that. I put $125 on that to win about $240. And really, to be honest, I then said, you know what? I just didn't call the ladder bet. Are you familiar with the ladder bet?
I have not, but I'm a simple bettor, Steve. I don't know all the complexities that you do.
So let me just bring this up quick. I think it'll help understand it. So
I see the ladder.
There we go, right? It's the ladder bet. And so if we start at the bottom there, you'll see that that's the $125 bet for 6 games and over. Then I said, hey, well, if they're going to win over 6 games, maybe they'll make the playoffs. So I put another $50 down to win $250 because that was 4-1 odds. And then I'm like, well, you know what? If they're going to make the playoffs, because there's that extra spot anyways, maybe I move up and say, well, maybe they'll win the division. And I got it at 9-1, which, just all future odds, they always go down, right?
Okay.
And then we'll just pop up to the next 2. You can see where I'm going here.
I do. I think you're going right down into the grave as opposed to up the ladder.
Well, I said, hey, why not get my 60-1 odds that they'll actually win the AFC? And once they're in the Super Bowl, anything can happen. 125-1 odds makes me $3,000. Be pretty cool.
Yeah, if it works, Steve.
Hey, the idea of the ladder bet is this. I think we can agree winning 6 games is not crazy, right?
No, but I think them winning the AFC East is definitely crazy.
So then I lose $12. But if they make the playoffs, I'm up 250, 500,
I
25.
understand the concept.
So hey, I love the ladder bet. It's one
Look,
of my favorite plays.
hopefully in February I'll come back and I'll tell you were a genius.
When Tua is the MVP. I'll be honest.
Who knows if he even sees the field this year?
I would love to see Fitzmagic be a Super Bowl MVP. It'd be the best thing of my life. That would like complete me.
He comes in for like 3-4 games. He's unbelievable, and then he loses it.
Yeah, consistency, right?
No consistency there.
One fun thing, and then we'll move on to the next bet, is these bets that I got 125 to 1 for the Super Bowl and 60 to 1 for the AFC. They're down to 85 and 40. So just by waiting about 6 weeks, you've lost 20 times to 40 times the value. So, for those who are looking at future bets and really have a feeling for something, you got to jump on that now. Do not wait any longer. It's only going to keep dropping.
Yeah, people are at home placing bets now.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
So the next one is a bet that I like to call looks too good to be true. And it's like it sounds, right? Something's here. And that's Dak Prescott. And I know, let's ignore the contract talk. His over-under for touchdowns is 27.5. So, I don't know. Are you a Dak Prescott guy?
I'm not, but I'm betting the over here, Steve. He had 30 touchdowns last year, and now he has CeeDee Lamb along with Gallup and Cooper. I mean, that's a great receiving core. Obviously, he has Elliott. He's got Elliott. He's got a great offensive line. So as long as Elliott stays healthy and they have to stack the box, I think he's going to surpass that by a lot.
I am 100% with you. I mean, he gained 1,100 passing yards last year, and that's because their defense keeps getting injured. So they're in games where he has to throw. They're behind. And with McCarthy coming in, it's a pass-first offense.
Yeah, and the key is Elliott being healthy because you need that run threat.
Not a Tony Pollard guy? There's a lot of talk about Tony Pollard.
No, Elliott's a machine.
All right, well, I actually put $75 on that one to win about 140 because I was also just like, this seems like a gimme. What am I missing? The only thing that could happen is the contract talks deteriorate to the point they start Andy Dalton over him.
Or he gets injured.
Maybe. He's a tough dude. So, all right. We've talked about the ex-girlfriend. We've talked about looks too good to be true. Let's just talk about some over-unders for QBs, straight and simple. So, are there any ones that, if you looked, I think I sent them over to you. What type of QBs are you looking at that popped out at you?
So 4 jumped out at me. I got 3 overs and 1 under. What do you want to hear first?
Let me guess your under.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it Matty Ice Ryan, who has the same over as Mahomes for the top yardage?
I was thinking that, but I decided to go with Carson Wentz. 3,900.5. The guy never stays healthy. The receivers are still suspect. Jeffrey, Jackson, they get hurt every season. And they drafted his replacement. So I'm going with the Wentz under 3,900.5. What do you think about that?
So did you look at his yards last year?
Yeah, I believe he clipped it by a little bit.
Yep, he got 4,000 last year, and obviously the year before that, he was way under at 3,000.
Yeah, but he also stayed much healthier last year than he has in the past.
I agree. I like that bet, actually. I think that's a good call.
I do like Matty Ice also.
The thing with Matty Ice is if you look him up, he does go over that. He throws a ton, and with Julio and Riley and just no running back right now. I mean, Gurley is going to be half this. I mean, I can see
the
that.
Falcons are going to have a bounce back year.
I agree. I'm actually a little bit high on the Falcons, but I'm not betting them.
If they're over under and wins.
I know what? I actually don't know offhand. I want to say it's like 9.5. It's actually decently high.
I go up. I go over.
10's a tough one.
I go over. All right, let me get to my overs.
Yeah, let's see your overs.
This one stuck out. Breeze over 4,075.5. I mean, that's way low.
That's purely an injury concern, right? That's all they're saying.
Yeah, so if he stays healthy, I mean, the guy's thrown over 5,000 yards in multiple seasons. He has an unbelievable receiving core this year. They picked up Emmanuel Sanders for my Niners. And anytime you throw Kamara.
That's that non-objectivity I was talking about before it came from your Niners. He had like 3 days on your team, and he's a star.
He's a great wide receiver. Although he could have been a little faster on that post route. What was he doing in the fourth quarter? Anyway, so I like Breeze. I like the receivers. I think he's going to stay healthy. He just lights up defenses. Like I don't. The number's way too low for me.
He's gonna have that one like 4 interception game, but you know what? Like we're not talking about
But
touchdowns.
he'll throw
We're
for
talking about
300 yards that game. If he has a lot of interceptions, that means he's throwing for a lot of yards also.
It's so true. All right, I like that one also. What you got next?
All right, you're gonna get at me for this one, and it was hard for me to pick it, but I'm going with Russell Wilson from the dreaded Seahawks over 4,000.5. I tried so hard to hate this guy, Steve, but he is so freaking good. He is so good, and they got that monster wide receiver DK Metcalf, who's gonna be unbelievable. He's going to throw for over 250, 260 yards a game. He's unbelievable. I think he's, after Mahomes, he's the second best quarterback in the league.
Well, 2 years ago, he only threw for 3,400. Obviously, he got a better receiving core this past year. And then he got to, where is he? 4,100. So he just got over.
Yeah.
That one sounds a little dangerous to me. I think that might be like me picking the Dolphins, where you're thinking your opponent is better than they are.
And I think that, have you seen what DK Metcalf looks like?
I've seen what he looks like, and I understand defense is going to have some tape on him now. We'll see. I think that might be your weakest of the three. I like the other two. There's actually only one pick on my side.
What do you got?
I think that the most underrated QB on here, my boy, Drew Lock, second year in the system, just has to get over 3,450. That is looking at about averaging 211 yards a game.
That's a good bet.
I rest my case.
Hey. You know what? Pick a theory you like and go for it.
Yeah. So, Morty, thank you so much for coming on. I hope we'll have you on again soon.
It was a blast.
And now, let's take a second to remember when.
Remember when Count Dracula wanted courtside seats to a Spurs game? Well, Manu Van Helsing said no, thank you.
And we're going to wrap up the show today with a bet I like to call the eye test. Not a lot of statistics going into it, not a lot of research, just it looks right. So obviously we haven't had a lot of sports recently, and so I started following the Bundesliga German Soccer League. I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I did not realize they have the largest average stadium attendance of any sport worldwide. Over 43,000 fans normally attend these games. Obviously not so much right now. Anyways, while I'm watching these, and by watching I mean following the numbers on random sportsbooks apps, I noticed there were a lot of ties happening. And rather than dig into the stats and the numbers and what should I do, I figured let me just look at the next 18 games, put $10 on each of those games. $180. Let's see what happens. Well, day one finishes, and out of 4 games, I win 2 out of 4. 50%. Now, these odds were all at plus 245 up to about plus 1,100. By the way, never take plus 1,100 on a tie in a soccer game. Practically impossible. But what I did notice is I just need like a third of those to hit, and 2 out of 4 on the first day. I'm feeling great. I'm at 50%. So I start talking to some of my DGen friends, and one of them immediately sends me a website that has all the statistics for the Bundesliga league, because that, of course, exists. And what we noticed in the last 6 years, the top out is 27% of the games tie. Well, I'm getting a little nervous, sweating a bit. Day 2 finishes, and I'm 5 of 9. I am in the black. I've made $190 back, and I have 9 games to go. I'm more than 50% at this point. The smart move would have been to say, well, if the odds should be 27%, and I'm at closer to 60, well, that means that at the end, I am going to expect these total to come back down, and they're all not going to tie. But I figured, you know what, let it ride, right? Having some fun. Bottom line is, my degenerate friends, right? They were right, and I went 0 for 9 on those next games. You know what the odds are in 5 out of 18? Fun fact: 27%. And someone asked me, "Hey, why would you bet on something you don't know if you have an edge on? Shouldn't you do some research?" Well, I had a quick answer to that. Number one, I didn't want to spend the time. It's $180, and I didn't think I'd lose it all. So why not just see what happens? Also, a couple seasons ago, the Blackhawks, all their NHL games were going over. If I had waited to try to figure out, is this really a thing, I would have missed a lightning in a bottle. Lastly, us sports fans, like, let's be honest. Does it always have to be about profits? Something's just more fun and exciting to see what happens. What can I say? The bottom line that I should say, math always wins. I look forward to hearing from all of you. So thank you for joining. Leave us some comments down below with some of the fighters you think are your best bets or that we should be totally avoiding. Maybe even some future bets. And definitely check us out, Sports Den Radio on Twitter, and send me a message over at TPJ187, the Poker Jew, living my best life 7 days a week. Now, I'm going to pull a Marty McFly here, and we'll get back to the future next time I see you. NBA, NHL, MLB, more so NFL. I'm Aaron LaStief Stiefel. This has been The Oddsmaker. Keep believing, and we're going to have fun breaking these odds wide open.